Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Matthew, and once again we are continuing on with the review of the 1990s WWF Hasbro figures. So today we're working on Series 3. Just like Series 1 and 2, just a massive quantity of figures released in this series. We had about 12 figures in Series 1, another 15 figures in Series 2, 14 original with one repeat, the Smash figure. And then in Series 3, they came out with an additional 12 action figures. Now, right now, the Dusty Rhodes from Series 2 has been the only carded figure I don't have. There are a couple carded figures in Series 3 I don't have, but at least we'll have the loose figures to take a quick look at. So, in 1992, additionally, this is when they started creating multiple series releases in the year. So, not only are we looking at Series 3, Series 4, etc. So, we'll go over the years with each release of each series. So, let's dive right in with the first figure. So, per usual, just like Series 1 and Series 2, we're continuing on with a third version of Hulk Hogan. Now, for me, growing up, we had a ton of Series 1 and 2 figures, and we had 3 figures in Series 4. I never knew about anything from Series 3. The first time I ever laid eyes on these figures were when I started collecting Hasbros a couple years back. And not only does Series 3 have a ton of figures in this line, but as a matter of fact, in my opinion, they have the most, I don't want to say unique, but the most developed figures. The overall quality of Series 3 is bar none. Not even Series 11 can really match up to the Series 3 quality of figures. Series 3 Hulk Hogan is easily the greatest version among the 4 different figures he has, with the asterisk. There's also a Hulk Hogan mail-away with red shirt, but it's essentially the exact same figure, just a different repaint. So you can go either way. If you like the mail-away Hogan better, if you like the original Series 3 yellow shirt better, same exact figure. I also mentioned in Series 2 that the Bear Hug Hogan and the Series 3 Hogan are essentially the exact same figure. The only difference is when you stretch out the arms with the Bear Hug Hogan, you're essentially creating this new type of figure. But very reminiscent to the Series 4 Bret Hart with fighting pose. And because I had the Bret Hart as a kid, of course, this in particular figure is going to mean a lot, or, it should mean a lot, of course. So, this is Hulk Hogan, and this looks like another Spanish card. That's okay. For me, with a lot of these figures, it's more important just to have a carded figure than anything else. And is it as valuable as a regular English card? Of course not. So, regular American card, you're looking at probably a $200, $250 card figure. Whereas on a Spanish card, you might get it for the $130 to $175 range. So, if you want to save yourself a few bucks, that's something you might want to consider. And like I said, the Series 3 Hulk Hogan, easily the greatest figure of the Hulk Hogan line. A lot of people start gravitating towards Series 5 because he's not clothed. I'm okay with the clothed figures. It just gives them more of a design. Absolute beautiful looking figure. And not really too much to say about this. Very simple working action, but throughout a great positive look of the action figure. So 3 series, 3 Hulk Hogans, and when you've got the Mega Superstar, I can understand. And I kind of complained about the original San Francisco Toymakers, which was an off-brand of Galoob after after Galoob went out of business, and David Galoob and company went into, created the new original San Francisco toy lines. Basically using the exact same characters, release after release after release. Yes, Hasbro did that years later, but in all fairness, at least Hasbro not only changed up the design of the figures, at least creating new copies. A simple, even Hogan, 4 different series, 4 different poses. He might have the infamous yellow and red, but it's still different figures. So I would have loved to have had this as a kid. Obviously, nothing from Series 3, so this is easily one of the top 10 best Hasbro figures of all time. And I'm probably going to do another, top 10 favorite list, because last year when I made this list, I don't think I even had him on the top 10. And it's kind of hard to keep an elite figure like this, off your top 10 list. But that is the Hulk Hogan figure. Alright. Trying to keep these in order as how I have them displayed on the wall. Once again, the Series 3, they're just kind of scattered. Oh, let me put my little championship belt on. Alright. Also, continuing the trend of releases in each series, we continue on with the Ultimate Warrior. Now, Ultimate Warrior from Series 2 we had both Series 1 and Series 2 Ultimate Warriors. And of course, the Series 2 Ultimate Warrior had been my all-time favorite Warrior figure until I discovered this figure. So, if you actually look online, it says Hasbro Ultimate Warrior figure normally goes for around $500-$600. I don't really think in this day and age it's really that valuable anymore. So this is, I think this one's a French card. So I think I probably got this for like $130, $150, somewhere in that price range. And if you want an American card, yeah, you're probably going to be in the $300 range or higher. I mean, it's still a valuable figure, no doubt. This one, I think if I recall correctly, I think I had Ultimate Warrior as either my second or third, probably my second all-time favorite Hasbro figure. When you're talking about the elite of the elite, Series 3 Hasbro Warrior, absolute perfection of an action figure. Jim Hellwig may have been a complete jerk-off, but, I mean, you can't deny the enthusiasm and energy that that this person brought to the character of Ultimate Warrior. When he and Sting, when they started their careers off as they were just simply like these big muscle heads without any real technique or skills. But Sting became one of the most elite wrestlers that I can recall ever watching. And Ultimate Warrior, I never had a problem with him in ring. I always enjoyed his enthusiasm and his technique in the ring. But as an adult, would I still fancy it? Probably. Only because, he's always been one of my favorites, so it's kind of hard to kind of backtrack and be like, yeah, this guy's really crummy. No, I'm probably not going to do that. The Ultimate Warrior. I actually have a custom Ultimate Warrior like this. The arms are pretty much stationary like this, so you really can't move or anything. But when I saw that figure, it was like a Royal Rumble 91, I believe it was, with him going against Sergeant Slaughter in the American color scheme. And the one thing that when I first looked at the figure that I mentioned was, this is one figure that I felt like did not ever need to be customized, because it's already a perfect figure all around. I mean, as far as body positioning, the arm positioning for fighting, kind of like, arm straight out like that of, Smash or, Honky Tonk Man, etc. Great figure. The little tassels, everything on the boots. I mean, all around, just perfection. And he's got a couple different moves here, very similar to DiBiase, Smash, etc. that have, arms straight out. That little arm popping over. At least this one works a lot better. Of course, this one came off, all of these figures came off my primary display, so they should generally have a good working action for the most part. And like I said, this figure comes with, it's kind of sticking up here, but he does come with 2 different actions. The little stomp and, of course, the arm pose. Ultimate Warrior. I just found out recently that Ultimate Warrior ended up in WCW for a short period of time. And that was incredible. I never heard that Warrior went to WCW. Had I known that, as a teenager, I probably would have tuned into WCW more often to catch the Warriors matches. But from what I heard is that he and Hogan, had a match in WCW and was essentially trash, I guess. But Hogan and Warrior, to me, produced my all-time favorite wrestling match of all time. So I'm not going to complain about the character. Definitely not about the figure. So, Ultimate Warrior. Now, you got the three big heavyweights, the three men that I cherish the most in life as wrestlers: Hogan, Warrior, and Randy Savage. Unfortunately, I do not have a Series 3 Randy Savage figure. Randy Savage, the box set should be just the same as the Series 2. The only difference between the Series 3 and the Series 2, for starters, Series 3 does not come with accessories. But when you look at the individual figure in itself, the figure, Series 2 and Series 3 are about 99% accurate to one another. The only difference between the Series 2 is that on the back of the trunks it says Macho King. On the back of a Series 3 it says Macho Man. Literally the only difference in the entire figure. And, he's got the little hole in the hand and everything. So even though this is not a Series 2 Macho King, I still put the crown and scepter on the Series 2 and Series 3 figures. They're, again, 100% identical as far as play pose and aesthetically, with that simple difference being the king compared to man. Macho King. This is an absolutely gorgeous figure, too. I think this one's mint or close to it. So you look at a relatively mint Macho King Series 2 figure, you're probably looking at about a $10 figure. Maybe if you're lucky, possibly you can knock out $15 for it. If you got the original Crown and Scepter, maybe you can, budge that price up to about $35 to $45. Series 2 or the Series 1 Macho Man, it's really hard to choose which one you like better. I like the feet positioning of the Series 1, and of course the hands out makes it a little bit better, but this is one of the few times where I do not mind that whole, right extended arm and action. And I mentioned I don't have the card for this, so I like to put accessories and belts and stuff on all my figures, so I don't know, I try to keep that as even as possible. Macho Man might have actually been one of the single greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. Definitely right up that list among heavyweights. And there are certain characters that you kind of gravitate towards as kids. Guys that really deserved a push, not as the second tier champion, what they might classify as more of like a worker type champion, essentially. So you had guys like Ultimate Warrior, you had guys like Randy Savage. I'm trying to think who else. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, etc. Guys that got their pushes as Intercontinental champions and were highly successful guys before they finally made it and got the number one belt as a heavyweight champion. So Randy Savage, I'm going to say, came into WWF around 85. Let's see. LJN's he was Series 3 in LJN, so that was 86. Yeah. So if it was 86 LJN for Series 3, then he would have come into the WWF around 85. Just a fantastic force, always came down the aisle wearing these long robes. He was very, vocal, passionate, while, he had these great, energetic speeches, while speaking to the megaphone and everything. Kind of remind me of Roddy Piper to a great extent. Just a great talker, just an absolutely amazing athlete. And I didn't even know, my whole life I always thought his name actually was Randy Savage. I didn't find out until a short while ago that Randy Pafko was his real name. And I'm like, wow. I've heard about the character, Lanny Pafko, so I guess they're brothers, whatnot. So, but he had a pretty successful run. I think he was Intercontinental Champion for like 8 months or something. I don't remember, and I'm trying to think who he dropped the belt to, but. Obviously he made enough of a push in WWF where Vince McMahon finally gave him his run at heavyweight champion. So, and again, one of the most successful in-ring competitors ever. And we're not even talking, regular Intercontinental or heavyweight champions. So, if you guys looking for this type of figure again for a Macho Man Series 3, even loose, be prepared. You're probably going to pay up about $50 to $75. About $50 should be fair. And if you find one on card, $300-$400 at least. Will I get one on card eventually one day? Yeah, that is the goal. Alright, so that was Macho Man. Well, there was no Ted DiBiase in this series. So I'm kind of trying to keep these separated as much as possible. So let's move on to Big Boss Man. This is another Spanish card. Wow, I didn't know I had so many Spanish cards. That's okay. The funny thing is, nowadays, even a regular American card will probably hover around $100. So when I started collecting these on card, I think these were normally selling for easy couple $100, and the prices have dropped significantly, and that sucks. What do I say? If I go out and buy a figure for $100 or $200, and a few days later I find one on auction for $100, I'm like, oh shoot, I just paid $200 for that. So if I can win it for half price, maybe I can resell it for $200. Hey, if I was willing to pay $200 for something, someone else might be willing to pay $200 and at least make my money back for that particular sale. But it just can't happen nowadays. So, Big Boss Man. He was on my list at number 10 for my all-time favorite Hasbro action figures. A light years better action figure than what you found from Series 1. Still comes with original nightstick. Just an absolutely gorgeous figure all around. So many things are enjoyable about the figure. Number one, again, proportionate. Head is proportionate to the body. You don't have the Series 1 Boss Man with his tiny head and big belly and everything. Around 92, when these figures were being released, the man had just lost a ton of weight. Still a pretty hefty, big guy, but, I mean, he wasn't, like, enormous like he had been. And, much slimmed down pose, awesome. Great positioning of the feet. Another one of those figures that, again, I've never been a huge fan of the extended arm, but with certain figures, it's perfect. Why? Because what does he do, as a finisher? Kind of like picks someone up, does that little slam. I forget what the finisher is called, but this right here gels perfectly with the position or finisher of this type of character. And again, I can't read it. La Ronde des Prisons. I don't know what the heck that means. RC mentioned, find me a Hispanic wife to try and teach me Spanish. If I was single, that would be awesome, but no. I kind of mentioned in my comments to him that, hey, my wife speaks pretty decent Spanish. She's Polish, but, she understands words and phrases and stuff, so. But Big Boss, man, just a beautiful figure, like I said. Number 10 on my list. Incredible piece. And it's kind of odd that I put Big Boss Man at number 10 and I didn't have the Series 3 Hogan, who I classify as one of the most perfect figures of the line, nowhere near the top 10 list. So I don't know if I ever want to do that list again and see if anything changes compared to my first video, but this is definitely a keeper. Definitely one of those figures you have to have as part of your collection. right. Who else can we move on to? We'll go to this figure. Again, here's another figure that is a million times better in Series 3 than what you saw in Series 1. I don't have the carded figure for this one, and I'm pretty sure anyone can figure out who it is. It's Brutus Beefcake. Of course it's going to be Brutus Beefcake, because how many people out there actually have a carded Series 3 Brutus? You can find one on auction or on Buy It Now every now and then, but again, sellers, they're looking for like $600 plus in order to purchase this figure on card. I love Hasbro's. I love this figure, but man, I just can't. I will never be able to pull the trigger on something. I could go back overseas and go back to contracting in Afghanistan. Well, maybe not Afghanistan. Afghanistan is shut down now. But I could go to Iraq or Syria or Kuwait or something. You know, make 6 figures out there and be like, $600 for this? No, thank you. It's just not one of those figures that I think is valued to that extent. But the Series 3 Brutus Beefcake is most certainly one of the best figures of the entire line. I don't know if I had him on, I don't think I had him on my top 10. He should be at least a top 15 figure though. So if you were going to spend that type of money, this is definitely the sort of figure you would want to pay for. You know, if it comes down to like $600 for a Jimmy Snuka as an example. No, that's something I would never want to do because that's a terrible figure, but this is an awesome figure, so I should be comfortable paying for this, right? It only makes sense, but I just haven't been able to pull the trigger. And I gotta kind of watch my spending nowadays anyways. As I mentioned a couple of videos ago, I'm pretty much retired for the most part, so I'm pretty much living off of military retirement at this point. And, you know, I sell on eBay, but it's not like I'm making thousands and thousands of dollars, you know. One month I might make like $90. And another month I make like 500, so it's really luck of the draw when it comes to selling. But another one of those figures. You know, he's supposed to do a little arm pop. Doesn't look like the action is perfect on this one, but another one of those figures with the arms forward. I don't know, even as a kid, having these figures, you know, always having like kind of like rearrange and hearing that snap, which always drove me nuts. And you always have to like kind of rearrange the arms because they were always like, you know, repositioned. Like you want to have the arms even like this or like this. So sometimes you find the arms out like that. It would just drive you nuts. But such an awesome figure overall. Brutus Beefcake. I mean, do I really have any Brutus Beefcake stories? I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I mean, I grew up watching Brutus Beefcake, but I remember him more for his barbershop scenes than actually wrestling. You know, he was like a good friend of Hulk Hogan. And of course, you know, coming into WWF, you got, you know, the world's greatest champion, you know, highlighting or kind of talking you up a little bit. So, yeah, he basically had a job for as long as Hogan was there. Hogan goes to WCW, you know, Brutus in tow. It's only fair that you're going to follow the footsteps of the man that's basically keeping you employed. I mean, he was a pretty decent wrestler. It's not like he was a jobber or anything. I think of Coco Beware as like a jobber. I don't think of Brutus that way. I think he was a pretty good champion. Him and Greg Valentine. So I just don't have any really major individual stories with Brutus. Not really. But yeah. Brutus Beefcake. Let's move on to Sergeant Slaughter. An absolutely gorgeous piece. Figure comes with the Sergeant's Salute. Sergeant's Salute is just simply another one of those. A lot of the figures, whether they're Hasbro or Mattel Retros, for example, that come with this particular feature, this is one of my favorites. It's very simple, and nothing crazy, no head bopping, no head raising up, no shrinking into the body. No stupid, side spins and stuff like Texas Tornado or Tatanka or anything. Whether you've got like the open hands like a Hogan from Series 1 of Hasbro, someone like Brock Lesnar, for example, from like the Mattel Retros, or figures like Jimmy Hart and Mean Gene Okerlund from the Retros, they just have like this type of pose. That right there, that works fine. But once again, I didn't spend too much time on this. But this is just the carded figure. So obviously, I really love the the BDU woodland camouflage pants of the character, and this was, let's see, 92. So that was at the end of the first Gulf War. So at that point, he had transitioned back from Iraqi sympathizer back to the all-American drill instructor version of Sergeant Slaughter. There's some really awesome. I don't collect GI Joes or anything like that, but every now and then I'll come across a Sergeant Slaughter GI Joe figure, and I just want it just for the sake of the character. But man, even like those smallest figures, like something that big, will normally go for like $30-$40. And because I really don't know, I'm not a GI Joe collector. I really don't know the value of those figures. So if I see that sell for $32, that could be valued at like $200, and I wouldn't know the difference. Or it could be like a $4 figure, and I'm paying $30 for it. So that's why I really don't go too high on those. But I really want them just for sake of having them, and for the inclusion with the Sergeant Slaughter character. One of the things I don't like about this particular figure is the extended pointer finger. LJNs were like crazy in doing that with so many of their characters. Jim Duggan, who else was on there? Jim Brunzell would be another. I think the referee may have had a finger up. Vince McMahon. So you have all these different characters, right, that have this. And these things break off so easily. It's insane. But Sergeant Slaughter is easily a perfect figure. Not on my top 10 list. Would he be on my top 15? I really would have to look at this lot of 12 figures and say yes, that a good chunk of these figures do deserve to be on the top 15, top 20 list of Hasbro. I really think that Series 3 really was the cream of the crop when it came to not only the characters they produced, but just the simplicity of the action figures. And alright, so are we seriously at 28 minutes already? I'm sorry guys, I really want to do these videos, one video per series, but I just don't like the videos to be going 45, 50 minutes long, so an hour in length. So I might have to cut this off shortly. So right now we've looked at 6 figures, and we've got 6 figures to go. So I think this would be a good point to end this video. Again, I'm going to stay down here just to at least polish off this series. I'm planning on staying down here to do Series 4 as well. Series 4 is only 8 figures. There's no reason why I should break that down in any more than one video. So be prepared. This Series 3 is due up soon, or Part 2 is due up soon. Oh, not part of this video, but in Series 2, we looked at the Series 2 Ultimate Warrior with the Ultimate Slam, Gorilla Press, whatever you want to call it. This is basically what I had shown. And it was simply a bubble on card because I never was able to buy the figure on card. Well, during that video, I mentioned that I had just purchased, as of filming that video, I had just purchased the Series 2, and sure enough, just today it did come in. And again, it comes with like that little SummerSlam promotion up in the corner. So every time I had seen the Series 2 Ultimate Warrior, $200, $250, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. But finally getting this one in, and I paid less than 130 bucks. Shoot, I was excited. And it comes with these little trading cards as well. This is more like a holographic card, though. Not really a trading card. But that's pretty cool. Oh, that's it, guys. That's Series 3 Part 1. And Series 3 Part 2 is coming shortly. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.